Hey guys, Nicole Vargas, Digital Learning Coach at Spring High School. Welcome to part 2 of our Schoology assessments video. So if you're here, you should have already seen part 1. So what we're doing is we're adding an assessment in Schoology with each different type of question that Schoology Assessments has to offer. So if you've watched my part 1 video, we left off on the 12, we finished 12 of the question types. So we're going to pick up where we left off. So you should have seen that this label type of question was the last one that we did. So the next one we're going to go to is highlight hotspot. So if you could click highlight hotspot. Okay, and then I'm going to pause, type in some stuff, and I'll resume the video. Okay, so in this particular question, I'm asking them to highlight the mandible in this skeleton image that I've uploaded. So I've used this in a couple other questions. It's just easier. So you'll see I uploaded my image here, and then this little plus sign comes available under this draw button here. So what I want to do is I want to draw an area. So I'll click and drag, doesn't have to be perfect, around the mandible or the jaw. So you can see that that is what I'm highlighting as my correct, or I'm sorry, as an area, as a potential answer. So now I want to just pick some other random bones or areas. So I'll just click and drag. So those are the options. So since it was the mandible, I'm going to come down here and then you'll see they're all highlighted. I'm going to choose this as the correct answer. You'll see I've already got my learning standards attached. And then also I would choose multiple responses if I had asked them for something like, let's say I asked them to highlight the humerus, and they could have selected the left or the right. So something like that could have multiple, or phalanges, something like that. But since it's mandible, there's only one correct answer, and so I'm not going to check that box. Okay, so I'll hit save. And then the next question type we're going to have is highlight image. Okay, so for this question, what I'm going to do is I'm, again, attaching that picture of the skeleton, but I'm asking them to highlight particular items in specific colors. So I have highlight the clavicle in blue, the patella in red, and the ribs in green. So this type of question gives them different colors to use. So I'm telling them which bone should be highlighted in which color. So for that one, it's a little bit more difficult, but certainly easy enough for them to do, and depending on how detailed you want your directions to be, that would help. So we'll save this one. And then the next question is going to be highlight text. Okay, so this is going to be an example specifically for my English people. So you'll see what I've done is I just added some sample text from something I just grabbed off of Google. And then what I'm telling the students to do is to highlight an example of figurative language in this little excerpt below. So you'll put your paragraph or whatever you want, a poem here. And then if you go to possible responses, you can choose a paragraph, sentence, word, or I can just click and drag. So here he was frying eggs. We'll make that an option. Oops, I forgot the S, so I'll click it and I'll do it again. Okay, oops. There we go, okay. Thick blonde hair. Okay, so I'm just picking random phrases here. So Dudley looked like a baby angel. Dudley looked like a pig in a wig. Till they arrived in the kitchen. So these are all options that they could choose from. Now, if I scroll down, this one in particular, I have two similes here that could be correct answers. So I just want to make sure that I have both of them selected so that they can get credit for choosing either of those. Okay, so the next type of question is going to be math short answer. And then with this one, you guys know I'm not a math person, so I'll save myself the embarrassment and do a simple question. Okay, so then I can go to this add math feature here, and then I can type this. And then, of course, don't forget you have other more complex options available so that you could plug the equation in. And then there's other options. So this says text formatting options for students. So whatever you want them to be available, or whatever option you want available to them, you would just go to these drop-down menus and see what you need them to have. So like if you go to symbols, there's algebra symbols or calculus symbols or trigonometry. So whatever you need them to be able to utilize in terms of symbols, you can just specify those in that drop-down menu. The next type of question is the number line. So on this number line question, you'll see that my question here, as always, goes in the question setup. So place the team on the number line that shows the number of championships they have won. Then from here, you can add a title. So I have number of championships. More importantly, you need to set your minimum value and your maximum value. So in this case, thanks to the Yankees, I'll be setting this at 30 since they're close to that. So now if I scroll down, since I've added my responses, so I have these 4 teams, and then a number line that goes from 0 to 30. So then what I'll do from there is I'll just drag, so the Yankees are at 27, so I'll drag them here. The Dodgers are at 5. Red Sox are at 9. And the Cardinals are at 11. So I'm just dragging my answers to the place in the number line where they need to go. Now you can give them a correct response threshold. So as long as they're within 2 or 3 or 4, or however lenient you want to make that. Okay, so that brings us to our last option for questions, and that is the chart option. So I'll click on that. Okay, so I've added a question here. It says Melissa, Mike, and Jack went to dinner and split the $150 bill. Melissa left, oops, hold on, let me enter that really quick. Okay, I added the values in. So now it'll say Melissa left a $9 tip, Mike left a $12 tip, Jack left a $6 tip. So then what you'll want them to do is use the chart to determine what percentage of the bill their tips amounted to. So I made myself a title, I set the values, and again, this is obviously more for math people, so if you're a math person, you're probably following this better than I am. So I made sure to include my people that I used in the math problem down here as my points, and then the correct answer setup, you can just click it and drag it up to that spot on the chart. You can ignore order if you want to. Again, you can make a threshold. So if you think that they're going to round and you want to give them, 1 or 2 points of a threshold, you can do that as well. Okay, and the last thing, now that we have all of our questions in, so this is all 18 types of questions that Schoology Assessments allows for. Now what I want to do is I want to scroll up and I want to set my points. So these first couple questions were pretty easy. I'll keep them at 1 point. Now these, once they start having multiple options per question, then I'm going to assign more points. So this one had, I think, 4 options, so I'm just going to make it 4 points. This one had 3 options. This one had 2 options. This one had 2 options. This is obviously a more in-depth question asking to explain in depth the process of photosynthesis. So let's say that's 5. I'm going to call this one 10.
Cover your bases that you're trying to do what you can't help but get caught up because they're behind, obviously.
This is a 4-point question. This is a 1-point question. This is a 3-point question. So again, you see what I'm doing here. So just make sure you go back and award the different amount of points as you want it to be, because these questions are very, very different in terms of complexity. So you'll want to make sure that that your point value corresponds with the depth of the question. So hopefully this all makes sense. Again, Coach Wyrick and I will be delivering this PD. So by the time you see this video, hopefully this is just a follow-up to that training to guide you through the different types of questions available in assessments. All right, hope that helps. Wait, one more thing before you go. We'll also be going over the alternate tabs up here. So we'll show you what will show up in grading as well as reporting after you guys have taken the assessment, because then we'll have data to show you. So of course, we just made this assessment. The data isn't there yet. But in our training, we'll be showing you, because you will have taken this assessment, how to look at the data. And again, that's going to be due to the fact that I took the time to add my learning objective onto each question. So you'll want to do that. Lastly, if you hit this preview, you'll be able to see what your students will see to make sure that you have the questions set up the way that you intended them to be. And if it doesn't look right, then make sure you go back and click on the questions tab and feel free to edit as needed. All right,